Discover the incredible moment a millionaire uncovers a surprising truth: his stepmother's shock. Ryan Wells sat in his sleek home office, a marvel of modern design nestled in suburban Ohio. On the surface, he was the picture of success, a self-made millionaire with a booming tech startup, luxury cars casting imposing shadows over his immaculate driveway. But beneath the polished exterior lay a tumultuous sea of uncertainty. Since losing his father just a few months ago, Ryan had felt adrift, grappling with the overwhelming responsibility of managing the family real estate business. Each day, the burden grew heavier, particularly with Margaret, his stepmother, whose sharp eyes had a way of amplifying the tension in the room. She had a relentless ambition to reclaim what she believed belonged to her. Her grievances simmered just beneath the surface, always threatening to boil over. On this drab Thursday, a flicker of disturbance lured Ryan from his spiraling thoughts. An envelope, stark white against the rich wooden floor, slipped through the crack of the front door. He glanced around, unease prickling the back of his mind as he reached for it. Unfolding the crisp paper, a sensation akin to dread washed over him as he read pages revealing the existence of a hidden family property, one that had escaped his knowledge until now. A piece of land steeped in family lore and whispered secrets, it called to a part of him long buried, an intrigue about his father's past buried under layers of assumed loyalty. Conflicting emotions brewed within him, a tempest battling the weight of familial loyalty. Did he really want to uncover the truth, knowing how revealing it could fracture his fragile relationship with Margaret? That image he had long held of her collapsed as he considered the implications. Her dutiful stepmother facade felt less like a shield and more like a mask hiding venomous intentions. As he studied sketches and notes hastily scrawled by his father, his mind raced. Would unveiling these truths honor his father's memory or dismantle what little was left of their family ties? With each paper he turned, an avalanche of memories infiltrated his consciousness. Images of childhood summers spent with his dad on the estate clashed with recent memories of cold exchanges with Margaret. The balance of power shifted with each rediscovered note, each hidden secret illuminating a darker side of family well-being and ambition. Anxiety curled at the edges of his thoughts as he pictured the confrontation that loomed on the horizon, inevitable and fraught with unresolved tension. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious
to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As Ryan stared at the notes crammed with facts, the pit in his stomach deepened. He choked on the idea of exposure, the rift it could cause within their already precarious family structure. What lay buried in that land? Would it change everything he believed about his father and what he owed to Margaret? The tension seeped through the air thicker than the perfume of desperation, amplifying each uneasy breath he took. At their upcoming family gathering, the stakes would not only be about reclaiming family pride, but confronting ugly truths that may irreversibly fracture whatever bonds remained. When Ryan's phone buzzed, jarring his racing thoughts, he felt the pulse of dread. A notification hinted at yet another revelation about the hidden land, one that could morph everything he thought he knew about ownership and his family's legacy. Unbeknownst to him, this unexpected twist would ignite a cascade of decisions, forcing him to grapple with loyalty, betrayal, and the often murky waters of familial love. Would he take a deep dive into the secrets threatening to expose everything, or tread carefully, protecting the facade that had held for so long? The answer loomed just out of reach, like shadows darkening an otherwise sunlit room. Ryan's fingers trembled slightly as he swiped to open the notification. It was a message from a distant relative, someone he hadn't spoken with in years. Brandon, an uncle with a reputation for being both charming and conniving. The message teased buried family secrets and hinted that he knew more about the hidden property than he let on. Ryan's heart raced as curiosity wrestled against his instincts. This was not merely about acquiring land. It was a plunge into the depths of family dynamics that were now teetering at the brink of chaos. What Brandon could reveal was a double-edged sword. It had the potential to strengthen Ryan's understanding of his father's history, or it could add fuel to the fire of conflict with Margaret. As he paced the room, considering the implications of reaching out, something deep within him shifted. He scrutinized himself in the expansive mirror across the room. This new development was an opportunity, a chance to redefine his identity beyond being merely a tech entrepreneur. But it also meant reckoning with feelings he'd tried to suppress, dredging up the past he had buried in pursuit of success. After several minutes, Ryan made a decision, fueled by a blend of trepidation and determination. He tapped out a cautious but firm response to Brandon, a subtle invitation to exchange secrets amidst the storm. But as he hit send, he was hit by a wave of self-doubt. The fears of unraveling the familial ties he'd worked so hard to maintain flooded back. Would he be prepared for what lay ahead? The hours ticked by slowly, each passing moment intensifying his anticipation. Against the backdrop of a once reliable family, a reality that felt disentangled from his childhood.
Ideals began to take shape. His stepmother, who so adamantly clung to their shared lives, was now a figure cloaked in suspicion. This pivot pushed Ryan further into a corner, one where he had to choose: protect his late father's legacy or shield himself from a stepmother who might consume him whole if he strayed too close to the truth. Ryan plunged into the family portfolio, meticulously analyzing documents concerning the company. The depths of their operation felt labyrinthine as he sought information on the hidden estate. Each page turned unveiled not only property details, but also hints at more clandestine dynamics at play. He needed assistance, and quickly. Yet who could he trust? He turned back to the notifications on his phone. An idea blossomed amidst the chaos. He could reach out to his childhood friend, Melissa, now a skilled attorney specializing in property law. Her past loyalty and clear-headedness rendered her an ideal ally. Dialing her number, Ryan felt a surge of purpose. When Melissa answered, crisp and professional, it dissolved the layers of uncertainty that had shrouded him. He detailed the murky circumstances surrounding the property, the email from Brandon hanging ominously between them. Their conversation flowed, fueling Ryan's resolve. He shared his fears of confrontation with Margaret, who had an iron grip on her emotional perspective of their family legacy. She would not take kindly to any disruptive news. Ryan hung up, weaving through his thoughts. He stood at a precipice, on the verge of redefining his role. Would he allow the secrets of the estate, of his father, to reshape his identity, or would he conceal it all to remain just a millionaire in his own right? As he prepared a list of questions to pose at their impending family gathering, he was struck by the stark reality. The moment to face Margaret lay just ahead. The time had come to confront both her and the shadows of his father's past. But as he prepared, the tension thickened. A new, cryptic message lit up his phone. An unknown number, but perhaps a piece of the puzzle he hadn't anticipated. What revelation awaited him now? Ryan stared at the screen, the unknown number flickering like a beacon of uncertainty. His heart raced as he hesitated, finger hovering above the screen. Was this another trap? An intricate layer spun by Brandon's web of familial intrigue? Or could this be the key that unlocked truths he desperately needed? The cryptic uncertainty gnawed at him, blending his intrigue with a freshly minted anxiety. Taking a deep breath, he opened the message. The words, though brief, sent a shockwave through him. "We need to talk. About your father. It's urgent." It wasn't signed, but the tone suggested intimacy, a shock of shared history that brushed against the edges of familiarity.
Memories of family gatherings, interspersed with laughter and the smell of his mother's cooking, stormed his mind. Yet underlying this nostalgia was uncertainty. Who would reach out to him in such a way, especially now? Before he could dwell on it too long, a voice in his head snapped him back to the present. This could be a necessary step toward reconciling his family's fragmented narratives. Without wasting another moment, Ryan decided to respond, eager to glean any information he could. "What do you mean? Who is this?" he typed, anxiety throbbing in his fingertips, as if the very act of reaching out would unearth buried tensions. The response came swiftly. "Meet me at the Old Crawford coffee shop tomorrow at noon. You'll want to hear this." No name, just an assignment cloaked in mystery. The rest of the evening felt heavy with thought. Could this meeting offer him the clarity he sought regarding his father's estate? Alternatively, was he simply stepping deeper into a quagmire of family dysfunction? The upcoming confrontation with Margaret seemed more daunting now, layered with this new twist. Ryan's mind raced as he analyzed his options. A part of him longed for closure, to piece together his father's enigmatic legacy with all its profound implications. Another part felt dread at the thought of unknowingly loading his shoulders with more than he could bear, especially before facing his stepmother. Meanwhile, he threw himself into preparing for the family gathering. He meticulously crafted questions about the estate, rehearsing responses to potential pushback from Margaret. She had never shied away from emotional combat, and her attachment to their family narrative could sour any new information he sought to introduce. That night, sleep was elusive. Instead, Ryan lay awake, contemplating the nature of truth and legacy, grappling with what it meant to honor his father while navigating the murky waters his stepmother imposed. Morning arrived with its usual vigor, sunlight streaming through the blinds, pushing him toward action. As he dressed, a swirl of anxiety and determination enveloped him. He resolved to let the meeting unfold naturally. After all, a hidden piece of his father's life could illuminate his own pathway forward. When he stepped into the coffee shop, an unwelcome sense of dread gripped him. The air, rich with the scent of roasted beans, felt conspiratorial. He scanned the room, looking for something, someone that would signal clarity. As he settled into a booth with sweat dotting his brow, anticipation gripped him. The moment of revelation shadowed him, ready to either catalyze growth or plunge him further into chaos. Then the door swung open, and a familiar face passed through. It was someone he never expected to see again, someone who could change everything. The revelation stood before him, but was he prepared to confront the complications that awaited? Ryan's breath caught in his throat as he considered the implications of this unexpected meeting. Unbeknownst to him, the truth that lay ahead would not only challenge his perception of family, but also redefine the very essence of who he was becoming. Ryan's heart thumped in his chest, a symphony of dread and curiosity, as the familiar figure drew closer. It was Sarah, his estranged cousin, whom he hadn't seen since their childhood. She had always been a bright spark in family gatherings, a reminder of the happier times before the family became entangled in discord. But there was no warmth in her eyes today. They held uncertainty, layered with a mix of urgency and something darker. "Ryan," she said, sliding into the booth opposite him. Her voice was steady, but he could see beneath the facade. "Thanks for meeting me. I know this is unexpected." "Unexpected is one way to put it," he replied, trying to keep his tone light even as his mind raced. "What's going on?" She hesitated, her gaze darting to the window as if she feared being overheard. "I wouldn't have reached out unless it was crucial. We need to talk about your father's past, about things he never told you." His stomach nodded. He had come seeking clarity, but this revelation made it evident that the path he was on might lead to darker places than he had anticipated. "What do you mean?" "The estate isn't the only thing that's complicated," Sarah continued, her expression grave. "There are things about your father that could change everything you think you know, not just about him, but about your whole family." Caught in her gaze, Ryan felt a chill. The walls of the coffee shop felt closer, the air thick with revelations ready to spill forth. "What are you saying?" "I found some documents, papers that indicate there may have been another family. An affair, Ryan, a part of his life that he kept hidden," she revealed, her tone somber. "It's more than just a will or property. It's a whole other narrative." His mind raced, grappling with the implications. Another family? Had his father truly led a double life? The thought coiled tightly in his chest, mixing with a pain he was only beginning to understand. "What do you mean?" "The estate isn't the only thing that's complicated," Sarah continued, her expression grave. "There are things about your father that could change everything you think you know, not just about him, but about your whole family." Caught in her gaze, Ryan felt a chill. The walls of the coffee shop felt closer, the air thick with revelations ready to spill forth. "What are you saying?" "I found some documents, papers that indicate there may have been another family. An affair, Ryan, a part of his life that he kept hidden," she revealed, her tone somber. "It's more than just a will or property. It's a whole other narrative." His mind raced, grappling with the implications. Another family? Had his father truly led a double life? The thought coiled tightly in his chest, mixing with a pain he was only beginning to understand. "It's not just about betrayal, Ryan," Sarah pressed on, her voice urgent but tempered by empathy. "This could shift everything, the legacy he left you. You need to know who he really was if you're going to confront Margaret and navigate this estate." Ryan felt a tempest inside him, a mix of anger, sorrow, and a gnawing curiosity. "So you tracked me down to tell me this? Why now? Why not before?" "I tried to reach out before," she admitted, her eyes filled with a desperate sincerity. "But there were too many risks. I wanted to be certain. I didn't want to throw you into this without being ready. But you need to be prepared for what you'll find." He leaned in closer to her, driven by the weight of the moment. "What do you know? What do I need to do?" "It's not just about understanding your father's past. It's about confronting your own identity. A lot of who you think you are might be based on what he wanted you to believe. This isn't easy, but if you plan to face Margaret, knowing the truth is
vital. You deserve to bring your full self into this fight." Her words resonated deeply, sparking an urgency that clashed with the fear swirling within him. Ryan faced the reality that every assumption he had built about his family could be rooted in deception. If he wanted to reclaim his narrative, he would have to confront this unsettling legacy. As the weight of Sarah's revelations hung in the air, Ryan felt a burgeoning determination, a need to piece together the shattered fragments of his father's life. This meeting was merely the beginning, a launching pad into a realm of family secrets he had never anticipated. "Okay," he said, the words steady as he gripped the edges of the table. "I need those documents. I need to know." Sarah nodded, relief washing over her features, but then her expression turned guarded once more. "There's more I have to tell you. More than what's in those papers. You need to prepare yourself for this truth." The stakes were rising, and Ryan could feel the horizon of his life shifting. He was no longer just a passive actor in his family drama. His journey towards self-discovery had begun. As Ryan breathed deeply, a familiar fire ignited in him. "Let's do it. I'm ready." But deep inside, he felt the tremors of uncertainty. Was he truly prepared for the revelations yet to surface? He couldn't help but wonder what other spirits from the past awaited him around the corner. Just then, as Sarah reached for her bag, their surroundings suddenly felt suffocating. "Ryan, there's one last thing you need to know." And with that, the tension layered thick. Ryan felt the tension in the air thicken, anxiety coiling around him like a chokehold. He glanced out at the street, people moving by, oblivious to the storm brewing in his heart. Sarah's fingertips grazed the surface of her bag, the evidence of his father's dual life resting inside like a ticking bomb. "What else, Sarah?" he pressed,
the urgency in his voice brimming with both eagerness and trepidation. It became painfully clear that he needed to brace himself for more than just a few hidden documents. She hesitated, swallowing hard. "There's a meeting scheduled, tomorrow. A family attorney representing the other side, Ryan. They have claims to the estate, and what you discover may position you against them in a way you never expected." The gravity of her words crashed over Ryan like a tidal wave. Tomorrow. He had only just begun to process the implications of his father's infidelities, and now he was being thrust into a confrontation that felt grander than any family dispute he could have imagined. His mind whirled, battling confusion and fear. "Why me?" he asked, almost pleading. "Why not just let it be? I don't want to fight a family I never knew existed." Sarah leaned in, her earnest eyes locking onto his. "Because if you want to take control of your life and your family's legacy, you have to step into
the light. This isn't just about inheritance. It's about the truth of who you are." Ryan inhaled deeply, the air sharp with the scent of coffee and anticipation. Did her insistence on uncovering the truth suggest he possessed the strength to confront the reality that his identity was just as fragile? Each fragment of information felt like a piece of a puzzle that would either complete him or obliterate him entirely. "Meet with me after you've spoken to the attorney," she urged, then added solemnly, "Trust me, it's essential to collect your thoughts first. You'll need all your wits about you." Ryan nodded, feeling slightly lighter with the clarity she provided. What if the truth is worse than I imagined? The thought brewed like fog in his mind, clouding his judgment. "Then you face it," Sarah replied firmly. "You're not the boy who hid behind the walls of comfort anymore. You're stronger than you think. Remember, the truth sets you free. It won't define you, but it will give you the power to define your future." He absorbed her words, his heart hammering. Their shared childhood memories loomed like ghosts at the edges of his thoughts. The family gatherings imbued with laughter had been pulled away by secrets now strangling his understanding. Ryan finally felt the stirrings of a new resolve. He needed to rise above the darkness that uncertainty cast on his life, to find empowerment in unraveling the hidden story threading through his father's past. "Fine, I'll meet with the attorney," he declared, determination creeping back into his voice. "But I want to know everything you can find out tonight, and I need those documents as soon as possible. I have to go into that meeting prepared." Sarah's expression shifted to one of fierce pride, but her eyes remained shadowed with concern. "It won't be easy, Ryan. Prepare yourself, emotionally, mentally. There's a thunderstorm ahead." As they wrapped up their meeting and stepped out into the bustling street, Ryan felt his pulse quicken. Every face passing by felt like a reminder of the life he thought he knew, now overshadowed by secrets threatening to extinguish its light. He glanced toward Sarah, a sense of kinship drawing him closer. "Thank you for reaching out to me," he said, his voice steady now. "I can do this." "Just remember, it's going to get messy, and messy means growth," she replied with a sad smile. The reality of unraveling family ties lay heavy on his shoulders as they parted ways. In the solitude of his car, Ryan gripped the steering wheel, aware the journey ahead would stretch far beyond mere family legalities. It was a path toward discovering the raw truth hidden deep within both his family's legacy and himself. As he sat in the stillness, thoughts swirled, a storm ready to unleash its fury. He couldn't shake the feeling that another confrontation awaited him, beyond the attorney's office and Sarah's insights. With urgency etched on his face, he muttered to himself, "The time had come to face the shadows of my father's past. Tomorrow, the stage would be set for a reckoning, not just with those who contested his father's legacy, but with the very essence of who Ryan hoped to become. What other revelations lay in the shadows, waiting to push him toward an unexpected transformation? Ryan awoke the next morning, feeling as if the weight of the world had settled onto his chest. Panic coursed through him like an electric current.
every breath a reminder of the impending confrontation. The clock ticked ominously, louder than ever, as if counting down to his fate. Today, he would stand before an attorney with more knowledge and influence than he had ever possessed himself. It was as if he was the understudy now thrust into the spotlight, surrounded by actors he barely knew. He quickly dressed in a button-up shirt and blazer, a stark contrast to his usual casual attire. The fabric felt constrictive against his skin, a physical reminder of the expectations that loomed over him. In the mirror, he scrutinized his reflection, searching for any sign of the man Sarah believed him to be. "Face the truth," he whispered. "You can do this." The mantra echoed through his mind, a fragile lifeline tethering him to resolve. His phone buzzed. A message from Sarah flashed on the screen. "I hope you're ready. Stay focused." The words struck a chord, igniting both determination and dread within him. He needed to unravel this tangled web, not just for himself, but for his father, for any semblance of clarity that had been snatched away by deception. Arriving at the attorney's office, the imposing structure stared down at him as if assessing his worth. Ryan approached the entrance with hesitant steps, each one echoing the uncertainty within his heart. With a deep breath, he pushed the door open. The sharp scent of polished wood and faint hints of coffee greeted him, mingling with the tension that practically oozed from the walls. Inside, he was led to a conference room where he was expected to lay bare his stake in the family estate. Sitting at the sleek table, he faced the attorney, a middle-aged man with sharp features. The man's gaze was both assessing and indifferent, a wall separating their worlds. Ryan clenched his fists, feeling the fluttering of nerves dance within him as the meeting began. "Ryan, I understand there are complexities regarding your father's will," the attorney began, his voice smooth yet devoid of empathy. "We need to discuss the claims from your father's second family." With each word, Ryan felt another layer of his past being pried open, revealing the raw wound of betrayal and identity crisis. "What do they want?" he managed to ask, the weight of his own uncertainty looming large. "They wish to contest the estate entirely," the attorney replied, pulling documents from a folder. "Your father left behind significant assets, and their claims conflict with yours. Why did he never tell?"
"Me?" Ryan questioned, anger and confusion flooding his voice. The echoes of incredulity lingered, hooking into his psyche. "It seems your father hid a lot," the attorney said bluntly, tracing lines on the paper like staccato notes of a grim symphony. Regaining his composure, Ryan leaned forward, drawing on burgeoning resolve. "I don't want to fight. This isn't just a matter of money. It's about understanding who I am in all of this." The attorney's brows furrowed slightly. Perhaps he didn't expect Ryan to grasp the emotional component of legal disputes. "You need to be prepared, Ryan. It's essential you understand the implications of the entire situation." Ryan nodded slowly, feeling the weight of his own naivete. The intimidation he felt was slowly morphing into a burning desire to reclaim the narrative that had been stripped from him. He wasn't merely a pawn in this game. He could assert his place, anchor himself amongst the chaos. As they continued to discuss tactics, the attorney provided insights into legal strategies, but Ryan found himself veering internally, a storm of thoughts clashing against each other. The gravity of family ties was heavy, with the second family now looming like specters, haunting him with implications beyond mere inheritance. Questions rattled in his mind. What had he been denied? How would he consolidate the pieces of this unwelcome past? After the meeting concluded, Ryan stepped outside, the sunlight almost blinding after being cloistered in shadows. He had braved the tides of conflicting emotions, yet uncertainty still clung to him. The next step required greater courage. "Sarah," he said under his breath, recalling her voice urging him toward a new beginning. The thought ignited something within. The fight had only just begun, not merely on the exterior, but deep within his own psyche. As Ryan leaned against the wall outside the building, the gravity of his father's hidden life settled on him. He needed more than knowledge.
He had to uncover the secrets entwined with who they were, the very essence of legacy. Everyone would know Ryan was more than just his father's son. He would carve out his identity from the shadows. But the true confrontation awaited him. An unexpected ally threatened to emerge from the very depths of his lineage. Would the truth stem from his father's past, or could it be found within himself? The realization struck. His journey had become intertwined with the very identity of the women who fought alongside his father. With renewed urgency, he whispered to himself, "What else is hidden? What will unravel next?" The weight of the morning's revelations lingered in Ryan's mind like an unfinished melody, all sharp notes and dissonance. He paced the sidewalk, the sun rising higher, illuminating everything around him, but leaving his thoughts shrouded in shadow. Each step felt uncertain as he grappled with the enormity of his father's deception and the knowledge that there were hidden histories waiting to be unearthed. He recalled the attorney's words, each syllable a reminder of his father's deceptive lies.
Tapestry. Entirely contested. Those words ricocheted around his mind like bullets. Ryan halted, frustration bubbling within him as memories of his father washed over him, seemingly innocent but riddled with fabrications. Who was he, really? And who had he been, guided by the wisdom of a man whose truths had crumbled before him? The frantic beat of his heart catalyzed a thought. He needed to reach out to the unknown, to learn more about the mother he had lost and the life that had been intricately woven between secrets. What lay in the hearts of the women who had shared his father's life? They were not merely adversaries in this tangled drama. They might provide answers he so desperately sought. Suddenly, the urgency seized him. He pulled out his phone, his hands trembling slightly. He needed a plan, a direction, something that could cut through the emotional chaos. With a determination fueled by necessity, he began searching for any contact information related to his father's second family. Who were they? Where might he find them? As he navigated through contact traces, unexpected feelings of apprehension clashed with a blossoming curiosity. This could either lead to confrontation or connection, a discovery of shared blood that had been concealed for far too long. With each tap of his fingers on the screen, potential paths surged forth in his mind, moments of truth and dialogue where he could learn who he was meant to be rather than what his father had navigated. His thoughts danced around the possibilities as he propelled forward. He remembered Sarah's advice, urging him to be proactive. He found himself wishing she were there. With tatters of bravery knitting together his resolve, he finally came across a name, Rose Davidson, listed as a contact in his father's old files. The surname felt foreign yet familiar, a flicker ignited within him. Deciding to track down this connection, he sought her out through social media. As each detail unspooled on his screen, Ryan's pulse quickened. He learned she had a small art gallery downtown, a space filled with color and creativity, an expression of identity likely unperturbed by the dark family secrets Ryan had just begun to confront. The thought of approaching her sent his stomach into knots, a broad spectrum of emotions flooding him, fear of rejection mixed with an insatiable thirst for connection. He envisioned the moment they could finally face each other, where the edges of his past could meld with potential friendship, or perhaps kinship. What would he even say? How could he express the complexity of his emotions, negotiating the space between disappointment and longing? An overwhelming urge to bridge the divide propelled him to craft a message, one where sincerity and vulnerability could intertwine. "Hello, Rose. This is Ryan, your brother. I need to understand the truth of my father and us." It felt strange, yet right, a rawness that matched the vulnerability of his recent days. After hitting send, doubt crept in. What if she rejected him outright? What if she too bore a resentment rooted in the same familial lies? The fear of discovery once again clawed at him, wrestling with newfound hope that coursed through his veins. Ryan inhaled deeply, committing to his choice with grudging optimism. "Whatever comes next, I'll face it," he reiterated to himself. The shadows of his father's past no longer an oppressive weight, but rather a challenge laid before him. And yet, amidst that promise of confrontation, a new message chimed with undeniable urgency. The screen lit up with a response. Her name gleamed like a glimmering badge of hope. But as he pressed to read Rose's reply, Ryan felt an unshakable thrill twist within him. What revelation awaited? Would it reveal a truth far deeper and darker than he had anticipated? Ryan's heart raced as he opened the reply from Rose, his eyes scanning both the words and their potential implications. Each sentence felt heavy with uncertainty, woven with strands of past grievances and the weight of unknown futures. He felt like a tightrope walker, poised precariously above a chasm filled with unresolved issues and emotional turmoil. "Hey, Ryan, it's surprising to hear from you. I had a feeling you might reach out one day. Let's meet. There's a lot we need to discuss." Her response was conciliatory, yet enigmatic, evoking a swell of conflicting emotions. Rose's initial acceptance stirred hope, but it also held the potential for confrontation, for the unearthing of truths Ryan hadn't fully prepared for. He wanted to dig deeper, understand their shared lineage beyond the surface-level distractions of small talk. There was no frantic rush to the surface this time. His desire was to plunge into the depths of family history, however uncomfortable it proved. As he meticulously crafted a time to meet, he reflected on the moments leading him here. Was gathering more information about his mother really the crux of his journey? Or did it provide a way to circumvent the pain of grappling with his father's legacy? Each question felt like he was lifting layers off an onion, revealing tiers along the way. But something had shifted in him. He could no longer afford to avoid confronting the truths that contorted his identity. The morning of their meeting arrived swiftly, each tick of the clock feeling more like a countdown than a countdown to clarity. Ryan prepared meticulously, stark images of potential confrontations crashing through his mind, painting vivid pictures of what could go wrong. He chose his attire carefully, practicality mingling with a desire to feel confident. A well-tailored blazer hung off his shoulders, grounding him in a gig economy where presentation could mean opportunity. As he approached the gallery, the vibrant colors within served as a metaphor for everything he aimed to understand: the joy, the pain, the beauty hidden behind fractal layers of family dynamics. He opened the door, the soft jingle announcing him like an unsettling omen. When his eyes fell upon her, it was as if he saw the hesitant yet familiar
reflection of himself crafted into a stranger. Rose stood amidst splashes of paint, a canvas bursting with emotion, her eyes filled with a mix of cautious intrigue and guarded vulnerability. "Ryan," she greeted softly, her voice slicing through the cacophony of gallery chatter. "I'm glad you came." His heart tightened as he gestured toward a nearby bench where they could talk uninterrupted. The reality of the moment thudded against his chest. Here was the sister he hadn't known existed, a piece of his history to explore and reshape. "Thank you for responding so quickly," he said, his voice slightly shaky as he tried to mask the turbulence swirling within. "I didn't know what to expect when I reached out." There was a flicker of understanding in her eyes, a softening beneath the guarded exterior. "I've been waiting for you to connect." She hesitated, searching for the right words, which only tightened Ryan's stomach with anticipation. "There are things I've known about our family, things that I think you deserve to know." And just like that, a whirlwind of emotions cascaded through him. The reaffirmation of kinship compounded by the dread of unearthing pain. What could these revelations possibly entail? Unshed questions loomed like dark clouds above them, and for the first time Ryan confronted the idea of accountability, not just from his father's shadow, but from the untold chapters of his family's collective history. "Is it bad?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The looming possibility of confronting the truth he had sought all this time felt both liberating and terrifying. Her gaze dropped to the ground, an instinctual withdrawal mirrored in the way she pulled her arms across her body. "It's complicated, but you need to know, Ryan. There's a darkness in our family's past, and it might shatter everything you thought you understood." In that moment, the weight of impending truth settled onto Ryan, unearthing a surge of determination within him. The facade he once clung to was beginning to crack, and beneath it he sensed a new foundation forming, one built upon clarity rather than deception. What lay ahead could unravel him or forge a new path entirely. But just as despair threatened to take hold, a flicker of courage ignited. Ryan inhaled deeply. "Then let's talk. It's time to face whatever this is." This was not just a quest for answers anymore. It was a descent into self-discovery, a reclamation of his identity amidst the shadows of family misgivings. As Rose prepared to share her truths, Ryan felt the stakes rise higher than ever. The moment of revelation was closing in. This was just the beginning. What could this darkness conceal, and how would it reshape everything he had come to accept? The urgency quickened again within him, for he could sense the tides shifting, the waves of old secrets threatening to crash upon him. The chilled air around them enveloped Ryan as he sensed Rose gathering her thoughts. The vibrant gallery faded behind him, every bright color dulled as the gravity of her impending revelations encroached on his senses. Anxiety buzzed beneath his skin, coiled tightly, urging him to voice the unspoken fears lodged in his throat. "Do you remember much about Mom?" he asked, his tone softer than intended. It felt strange to start there, as if digging for familiarity amidst uncertainty. "She was complicated," Rose replied, her voice quivering like the brushstrokes on her canvas. "She loved us, I think, but there were always secrets, dark ones." Confusion swirled within him. Secrets? What do you mean? His instinct to press for clarity rooted in an unwillingness to accept ambiguity. Her eyes glazed over, staring past him, perhaps into the receding shadows of their past. Things she hid. Things she did to protect us, I guess. But protecting us also meant obscuring the truth. I know more than I should. Ryan felt a constriction in his chest, as if the weight of concealed legacies squeezed the air from his lungs. Why keep them hidden? What could be so bad? Taking a deep breath, Rose finally met his gaze, the intensity of her stare urging him to brace for impact. "It's about the man we thought we knew, and the reality we weren't told. Our father, he wasn't what he seemed. He believed that shielding us from the truth was the right choice." Each word she uttered seemed to chip away at the fragile constructs of his identity. Growing up under the comforting patina of his father's pedigree, Ryan had never questioned the narrative until now. "What do you mean? How could he?" "Because we were never the only ones," she interjected, her voice low yet urgent. "There were whispers I caught growing up, affairs, lies, a life beyond what he showed." Her words hung heavy in the air, their revelations cutting deeper than he anticipated. The chorus of muted gallery sounds faded entirely, leaving an echo of disbelief he couldn't shake. "No," he whispered, processing the enormity of her admission. Did his whole life hinge on this revelation? And my mother? Did she know? The question rocked Ryan back into the core of his memories, those fragments of warmth from a woman who had given him life, but whom he now realized had been trapped like him. The isolation of that realization grated against his skin. There were moments when she'd lock herself away, and I felt it, the distance, the pain buried deeper and deeper. "Maybe that pain was her burden to bear alone," Rose replied, a hint of sadness in her tone. "But I think she carried it like a shield, hoping to keep us safe." "Safe from what?" "From the truth," she stated, her voice regaining strength, each word a piece of a puzzle he desperately wanted to complete. He could feel her pushing him to absorb the severity of their conversation, needing him to see beyond the tapestry of deceit they might have been wrapped in. The sense of betrayal surged, intensifying the protagonist's internal turmoil. Was it true? Had he constructed an identity on a foundation of lies? The familiarity of his father's stories began to twist into something he struggled to comprehend. Ryan's fists clenched by his sides, resolute against the memories that threatened to unravel him. And what if I want to know? What if I want to dig deeper? Rose's eyes sparkled with shared apprehension and respect. Then you'll need to prepare yourself, Ryan. This is just the beginning. The implications of her words reverberated through him, igniting a previously dormant thirst for the wicked truths hidden in their family's legacy. This was no longer about merely understanding his parents. It was about dismantling a facade designed to ensnare him. With adrenaline surging through his veins, Ryan realized he was on the cusp of something monumental. The unsettling journey didn't scare him anymore. It thrilled him. He could almost taste the liberation. But the question loomed heavily like storm clouds. Would he find strength in the truth, or would it consume him whole? Just as he felt grounded in this new resolve, Rose hesitated, the flicker of doubt clouding her features. There's something else I have to tell you, something critical that ties us all together. The air turned electric between them, the tension thick and palpable. What could be more disturbing than the revelations already shared? Would the unveiling of more truths redefine his reality completely? Ryan braced himself, readying for a deeper plunge. In the days that followed the chilling conversation with Rose, Ryan felt as if he had both broken free and become ensnared in a new web of truths. The knowledge of his father's duplicity churned within him like a storm, unsettling the very fabric of his identity. How could the man he revered live a double life while maintaining the facade of a loving family? It consumed him, but it was now intertwined with determination. He immersed himself in research, combing through family records and piecing together the history that had almost been lost to time. Every document he found deepened his resolve to confront Margaret and other members of the family that remained in the dark about their father's secrets. The secret properties, hidden affairs, and buried truths he now sought to redeem, determined that he would no longer be merely a product of his father's shadow, but would assert his own identity amid the chaos. On a sweltering Tuesday afternoon, armed with newfound confidence, Ryan scheduled a meeting with Margaret. He had meticulously prepared for this moment. He had compiled questions and key points he wanted to address about the estate and the hidden legacy his father left behind. No longer would he shy away from confrontation. The goal was not only to protect his father's legacy, but also to reclaim his own autonomy. On a sweltering Tuesday afternoon, armed with newfound confidence, Ryan scheduled a meeting with Margaret. He had meticulously prepared for this moment. He had compiled questions and key points he wanted to address about the estate and the hidden legacy his father left behind. No longer would he shy away from confrontation. The goal was not only to protect his father's legacy, but also to reclaim his own autonomy. On arriving at the sprawling family estate, Ryan felt the weight of its walls closing in around him. The air was rich with tension, yet it felt charged with possibility. He sat in the expansive dining room that once brought warmth during holiday gatherings. Today, it felt cold, barren of the familial connection he once craved. Margaret entered the room, her expression unreadable, a mask that belied the storm brewing beneath. "Ryan, it's been a while since we've had a serious conversation," she began, her tone clipped and distant. He squared his shoulders, steadying himself against the anxiety that threatened to engulf him. "We need to discuss the estate and some crucial matters regarding Dad's legacy," he said firmly. The directness in his voice surprised him. "Legacy?" she echoed, eyebrows raised, her dismissive tone palpable. "What do you mean?" Ryan took a deep breath. "I know about the other family, Margaret. I know about what Dad kept hidden, what he did to protect us." For a fleeting moment, he could see the carefully crafted veneer of Margaret's confidence waver, a flash of vulnerability that exposed the cracks in her emotional armor. "You shouldn't have gone digging." "No, you shouldn't have kept secrets, Margaret." he pressed on, feeling empowered as he challenged her authority. "I'm reclaiming my right to know the full truth. This isn't just about land, it's about understanding who I am. Dad's real legacy includes everything, good and bad." "Do you have any idea what you're saying?" she retaliated, her voice rising. "This could destroy everything he built." Ryan's heart raced, but he stood his ground. What he built was built on lies. "I have a right to his truth just as much as anyone else. I refuse to let that lie define my existence any longer." The confrontation escalated between them, each caught in a maelstrom of frayed emotions. Yet, amidst the chaos, Ryan felt a profound realization settle within him. He was no longer that uncertain boy lost in his father's shadow. He was crafting his own fate. Her silence weighed heavily in the air, heavy with the consequences of the secrets she had desperately tried to protect. After a long pause, Margaret's composure cracked further, revealing a raw desperation. "You think ending it all with confrontation is the answer? You'll fracture this family beyond repair." "No," Ryan replied, his voice now firm and resolute. "The fracture's already there. What I must do is rebuild from understanding. Clarity requires us to face everything, however painful it may be." In that moment, he witnessed a remarkable transformation, not just in himself, but in Margaret's demeanor as well. Her defensiveness began to unfurl, exposing layers of unprocessed grief and fear. Ryan felt compassion thread through his resolve. "I never wanted this for us, Ryan. I didn't want you to deal with these secrets," she admitted, voice trembling. "Protecting you was what I thought would keep our family together." "It doesn't work that way, Margaret," he stated, moving away from anger toward a more profound understanding. "You can't shield me from the truth. This family needs healing, and that starts with confronting what we've avoided for so long." As they continued to talk, Ryan felt the conversation shift. Margaret began to reflect on her own emotions, and, in a surprising moment of vulnerability, even shared memories of his father that were raw and layered. Perhaps he could help her through her pain just as much as she could aid him in rediscovering his own identity. By the end of their discussion, a flicker of something improbable emerged: possibility. Though far from resolution, there was an acknowledgement that the path ahead lay in shared acceptance of their familial narrative rather than its denial. This meeting had become a transformative moment for both. They were not just adversaries, they were connected by their grief and the desire for resolution. With each profound conversation, Ryan grew stronger, more aware. The ugly truths did not shatter him, they forged him anew. Finally, he stepped outside into the sun, his mind racing with ideas about what he could accomplish and the family he could still reshape. For the first time, Ryan felt a sense of belonging, not to the ghosts of his past, but to the life he sought and the identity he would define. As he stood beneath the expansive sky, he knew that in confronting the truth, he had not only reclaimed his father's legacy, but had also set the groundwork for a new chapter in his life, one built on his own unwavering strength. The time had come for Ryan to embrace the future, an empowered existence defined not by fear of the unknown, but by the courageous pursuit of clarity. And just like that, he left behind a weight of uncertainty and emerged ready to embrace his truth. Take a moment, my friends, to reflect on your own timelines and choices. Have you ever faced the bitter truths that shaped your identity? You need to subscribe now for more emotional journeys like Ryan's to discover how others navigate their complexities. Leave a like now and fuel the algorithm that empowers these stories to flourish. Comment below with your reactions and theories about Ryan's resolution. And for those who resonate with this journey, remember to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends, because only true fans of personal growth understand the importance of supporting this channel. Don't wait even one more second to join this transformative community.